What happens when a king is forced to flee his own city? In 2 Samuel 16, David walks away from Jerusalem not in triumph, but in tears, shame, and uncertainty. As David passed a little beyond the summit of the Mount of Olives, Ziba, the servant of Mephibosheth, met him. He brought donkeys loaded with bread, raisins, summer fruit, and wine. David asked, "Where is Mephibosheth?" Ziba answered, "He is staying in Jerusalem because he thinks, 'Today the house of Israel will restore my grandfather's kingdom to me.'" Without investigation and under emotional strain, David granted Ziba everything that had belonged to Mephibosheth. As David approached Bahurim, a man named Shimei from the family of Saul came out cursing. He threw stones at David and at all the king's officials, though mighty warriors surrounded him. Shimei shouted, "Get out, you murderer! The Lord has repaid you for all the blood you shed in Saul's household. The Lord has given the kingdom to your son Absalom." Abishai, one of David's commanders, asked permission to silence Shimei permanently, but David stopped him. If he is cursing because the Lord has told him to, who can ask, "Why do you do this?" David saw even this humiliation as possibly allowed by God. He said, "Perhaps the Lord will look on my affliction and repay me with good for the curses I received today." So David and his men continued on the road while Shimei followed, cursing and throwing stones. Meanwhile, Absalom entered Jerusalem. Hushai the Archite met him and declared loyalty. Absalom questioned him, but Hushai convinced him that he now served the new king. Then Absalom turned to Ahithophel for counsel. Ahithophel advised Absalom to publicly take his father's concubines, who had been left to care for the palace. It would signal that reconciliation was impossible and strengthen Absalom's claim. So a tent was set up on the roof, the very place where David had once sinned, and Absalom went in to his father's concubines in the sight of all Israel. The rebellion was no longer quiet. The counsel of Ahithophel in those days was regarded as if one had consulted the word of God. The kingdom was split. David wandered in exile. Absalom ruled in Jerusalem, but the story was far from over. Next comes 2 Samuel 17, where rival counsel, strategy, and divine intervention begin to turn the tide.